On the night of April 1st, 2006, a security camera inside a crowded Columbus bar captured the final images anyone would ever see of Brian Shaffer. He walks in with friends, laughing, celebrating. The footage shows him entering a hallway toward the restrooms. And then, he simply never comes back out. No footage of him leaving, no phone calls, no credit card charges, no body, no crime scene. Just a 27-year-old medical student who vanished into thin air, inside a building with only 2 exits, one of which was covered by cameras the entire night. This is the story of a disappearance so strange, so seemingly impossible, that it has baffled detectives, the FBI, and true crime investigators for nearly 2 decades. This is the case of Brian Shaffer.
Who was Brian Shaffer? Brian Shaffer wasn't the kind of person anyone expected to disappear. He was smart, disciplined, well-liked. A 27-year-old fourth-year medical student at Ohio State University, just months away from graduating and stepping into a career in medicine. Friends described him as easygoing, funny, and grounded, someone who had his whole future mapped out in front of him. He'd recently gotten engaged to his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner. He was close with his parents, James and Renee Shaffer, who lived nearby and spoke with him often. By every account, Brian was happy, stable. Nothing in his life suggested he was running from anything, or running toward anything either. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Brian had just finished a grueling set of clinical rotations. To celebrate, he made plans to go out with 2 friends for a night in the Arena District, one of downtown Columbus's busiest nightlife strips. It was supposed to be a simple night out. A few drinks, a little celebration. Nothing more. It would be the last night Brian Shaffer was ever seen. The night began normally enough. Brian and his 2 friends hit several bars along the Arena District strip, drinking, talking, watching the tail end of March Madness on the TVs overhead. Around 11 p.m., the group made their way into the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a popular 2-story sports bar known for its packed crowds and late hours. Surveillance cameras covering the main entrance and much of the interior recorded the group as they walked in. For the next hour, everything is accounted for. Brian is seen laughing with friends, ordering drinks, moving through the bar naturally, a young man simply enjoying his night. Then, just after midnight, cameras capture Brian walking down a hallway that leads toward the restrooms. He is never seen on camera again. His friends assumed he'd gone to find another friend, or stepped outside for air, or wandered off to talk to someone. It wasn't unusual in a crowded, chaotic bar for people to get separated for stretches of time. Nobody panicked. Nobody thought anything was wrong. It wasn't until the bar closed and Brian's friends couldn't find him anywhere that the first flicker of concern set in. They searched the building. They called his cell phone. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. By morning, that concern had turned into full-blown alarm. Brian hadn't come home. He hadn't contacted his fiancée. He hadn't shown up for a shift at the hospital. Brian Shaffer was gone. When Columbus police pulled the surveillance footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloona, what they found only deepened the mystery. The bar had 2 exits. One was the main entrance, covered continuously by security cameras. The other was a side door that led to an adjoining connected bar next door, a doorway with no camera coverage at all. Detectives reviewed hours of footage from the main entrance, frame by frame. Brian Shaffer never walked back through it. Not once. Not blurred in a crowd, not slipping past in a rush. He simply isn't there. That left only one possibility. If Brian left the building at all, he would have had to leave through the unmonitored side exit, the one connecting to the neighboring bar, which had already closed for the night by the time he vanished. Investigators searched that connecting bar. They found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no evidence he'd ever been inside it, nothing to suggest where he might have gone from there. It left police with a chilling and almost impossible scenario. A healthy, sober enough 27-year-old man appeared to have vanished from a sealed, monitored building without a trace, as if he'd simply stepped through a door and dissolved. No struggle was caught on camera. No one reported seeing anything unusual. His phone was never used again. His bank cards were never touched again. It was, quite literally, the last recorded moment of his existence.
The disappearance triggered one of the largest missing persons investigations in Columbus history. Police, the FBI, cadaver dogs, and volunteer search teams combed the surrounding area. Rooftops, dumpsters, the Scioto River, storm drains, abandoned buildings. Nothing turned up. Not a shoe, not a wallet, not a single physical trace. Detectives interviewed the friends Brian had been with that night extensively. Both cooperated with investigators, and both passed polygraph examinations. To this day, neither has ever been named a suspect, and no charges have ever been filed against anyone in connection with Brian's disappearance. Investigators also looked into Brian's personal life, searching for any hidden debts, secret relationships, or reasons he might have wanted to disappear voluntarily. They found nothing. No affairs, no gambling debts, no signs of depression or a double life. Everyone who knew him described the same thing: a man with everything to live for and nothing to run from. The bar itself, the Ugly Tuna Saloona, closed permanently in 2007 amid unrelated legal and licensing troubles.
But its name remains forever tied to one of Ohio's most confounding cold cases. As the months turned into years, leads dried up. Tips came in from psychics, self-proclaimed witnesses, and amateur sleuths across the country. Claims that Brian had been spotted in Chicago, in Florida, even overseas. Every single one led nowhere. The theories. With no body, no evidence, and no confession, theories about what happened to Brian Shaffer have multiplied for nearly 2 decades. Some believe he was the victim of foul play, perhaps targeted, drugged, or attacked, his body disposed of somewhere it was never found, possibly the Scioto River, which sits just blocks from where he vanished. Others point to darker, more speculative theories involving human trafficking, a theory Brian's own father, James Shaffer, has publicly said he believes may hold answers, though it has never been confirmed by investigators. A smaller number of theorists have floated the idea that Brian staged his own disappearance. But this theory struggles against everything known about his character, his relationships, and his complete financial and digital silence ever since. No one who vanishes voluntarily typically manages to leave behind zero digital footprint for 18 years in an era of cameras, cell towers, and card transactions on every corner. The unsettling truth is this: without new evidence, every theory remains just that, a theory. And for a family desperate for answers, theories are not the same as truth. For Brian's parents, the disappearance didn't end in 2006. It became the rest of their lives. James and Renee Shaffer spent years personally distributing flyers, funding private investigators, and pushing law enforcement to keep the case active. They established a reward for information, kept Brian's case in the public eye through media appearances, and refused year after year to let their son become a forgotten statistic. Brian's case remains open and unsolved to this day, still listed with the Columbus Division of Police and the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. Somewhere, someone may still know what happened inside
or outside that bar in the early hours of April 1st, 2006. Nearly 2 decades later, Brian Shaffer has never been found. No remains, no confession, no closure. He walked into a crowded bar as a bright, hopeful young man on the edge of the rest of his life. And somewhere between that hallway and the front door, he disappeared from the world entirely. If you have any information about the disappearance of Brian Shaffer, you're urged to contact the Columbus Division of Police or the National Center for Missing and Unidentified Persons. Someone out there may still hold the truth.